Alright, hello YouTubers, and yeah, it's another episode, and to be honest, I'm very conflicted on this one, because I don't know whether I like it or not, to be honest. It kind of feels a bit in the sort of middle ground, and I think it might be because this episode really suffers from the new term 50-minute syndrome, where it feels like a lot of the time it's rushing, especially the last 10 minutes really rush. So what I mean by that is that essentially, I mean, for one, the TARDIS crew, the episode doesn't waste any time with any settlement acts, although it doesn't have anything establishing. We just get thrown straight into the plot there and then. So it's right, here's the plot, start it, bang, whoop-de-bam, thank you ma'am, there you go. We are straight into it. We don't even see the TARDIS land at all, and I think that's part of its problem, but it's mainly a problem when you get to the ending, to be honest. The plot did have some interesting bit. It had a nice little mystery to it, although, to be honest, it wasn't particularly a very interesting mystery, which is a shame. It would be nice if it was a bit more engaging. But it did have a slight bit of a mystery of, why are these aliens and that here? What is this all about? Although it just turned out to be the bog standards. We were trapped here. We are going to take over the world now. Yeah. And this all happens in the last 10 minutes. To be honest, I think if, it was going to be aliens, then they should have been introduced earlier into the episode. They should have been, maybe halfway through rather than 50 minutes in. I mean, the problem with this is there's just too many characters. We've got King James, who's in this episode, who I honestly don't know why he's here, because he essentially doesn't really do anything for the plot and that. He's just kind of there. Just I'm King James, and da-da-da-da-da, I'm the king, obey the king, and stuff. He doesn't really contribute really anything to the plot whatsoever, and I don't really know why he would be there. To be honest, throughout the running time, until it was revealed, the twist was revealed, I was convinced for the majority of the running time that it would turn out that this isn't the real King James, but no, it is. It is the real King James. To be honest, it feels really weird and really odd. To be honest, it's this is the real King James. It's it's just an episode that it feels very rushed, to be honest. It feels more like, rather than an actual story with an actual script, it feels like a bunch of, ideas that don't really have a natural flow to them, to be honest. And although I do quite like the practical effect with the sort of corpses and that, it was pretty simple, but it looked quite good. The CGI really took a downturn at the end. Really took a downturn. So, yeah, it's just another thing of basically an over-reliance on CGI, which I've noticed quite a lot for Series 11, that it really heavily relies on CGI, which, to be honest, 9 times out of 10 looks piss poor, let's be honest. And that isn't, I couldn't really say, that's the fault of the people who do the CGI and that. I would say that was more of, basically, it's just a budgetary thing. You cannot do, CGI looks fake in most Hollywood films. So the fact that you're attempting to do what Hollywood does with their massive budgets on Doctor Who, which has a completely micro budget, in comparison to, even American TV shows and that, you're attempting to do that. No. I mean, I didn't think this episode was, I wouldn't call it bad. It was definitely, it was an episode that at least kept me engaged enough throughout the episode. At least it had some engagement throughout, though it just had a bit of things seeming to go a bit too quick. It seems, a problem where we just can't have a breather throughout in the plot, and it just seems to go, right, this is this. Right, we've got to do this now. Oh, we've got to do this. It seems pretty much that this type of story, first of all, would make a much better story if it was, even an hour long, that, an extra 10 minutes will be much better. And to be honest, I think also the setting, the fact that it's set during the daytime as well, I think if you'd have set it at night and would had a bit more time with those sort of reanimated corpses walking around, I think that would have been much, much better, because, to be honest, that would be creepy. It would. It would honestly be creepy to have some corpses walking around and that, and and obviously, you're in a house with some walking around corpses and they've got an axe. That would be interesting and set a bit of tension. But the fact that it's all set in, broad daylight, and it's got that basically undersaturated look throughout, it just kind of makes it feel, yeah. I like that in this episode, apart from one occasion, that the music was not overbearing, which is good, because although I do like our new composer, and I don't know whether this is his decision, or it probably isn't, it's more likely to either Chris Chibnall's or the director's decision, to basically have the music be blaring throughout most of the episodes, but it isn't in this one. It isn't blaring throughout, it isn't, shoved down your face, just like, this is the music now. Just like, it's a lot more subtle in the background. So something that, background, the thing is with background music, you shouldn't notice it. It should enhance the mood and that, but you shouldn't notice it, because when you do notice background music, it then becomes distracting. And thankfully, apart from one occasion, which was a slight little bit, it was only slight, yeah, I don't think it was too a bang. In terms of historicals, this series, to be honest, I think this was better than the Rosa Parks episode in terms of the best historical for this series. In terms of episodes, I think it's probably the third best out of the series. Though, again, that's just not saying much. The problem is, it doesn't reach any high levels. It reaches that's a decent bit of entertainment for 50 minutes. Though it's nothing, to be honest, after just watching it, I'm starting to forget it already. I've literally just finished watching it, I'm forgetting it already, and that's the problem. These episodes, they're just not memorable. I mean, I'll give it this, it was at least engaging enough to, keep me entertained throughout, though it's just not enough to basically keep me invested and wanting to, go back and look at it, so have a major discussion. It's really hard to discuss Series 11, since it's just so dull and dreary most of the time. It's like, a lot of this stuff is like the bare minimum effort, just that'll do, and that'll suffice kind of thing. So, yeah. And to be honest, next week's episode looks exactly like this week's episode. Yeah, the trailer on that look, in terms of the setting in that, it's set in a woods, and I know that obviously episode, what was it? Episode 6? Yeah, I know episode 6 was obviously filmed, I think, in Spain, which was doubling as India or Pakistan. But seriously, the woods in this one looked exactly like that, and obviously we've got a wooded one next week which looks exactly the same. I've just found that a bit weird, but yeah, this episode, it's alright. It's perfectly serviceable. It's, uh, is it worth a watch? Eh. If you watch it, I don't think you'll go out, hating it, though I don't think you'll be craving for any more. And if you don't watch it, then you're not really going to be missing much either. It's just perfectly fine, it's serviceable. And I think that's its biggest weakness. But yeah, anyway, I will see you next week. Bye bye.